Hello, I'm Dr. Tom Nichols. This video is a training guide to using the Digital Proactive Care Plan for EMIS Web. Before watching the guide, you need to have installed the software on your EMIS Web database. This is likely to have been done for you by EMIS, but also some sites will have had installation either by myself or from the CSU. You will find more information regarding the project, including installation files, a written version of this guide, and other resources on the Digital Proactive Care Plan tab on the OCCG intranet. The hyperlink is above, but will also be included in the description of this YouTube video. Before proceeding to watch this guide, it's first important to make sure that you have installed the software, and also there is a separate step of activating the software when your practice has made the decision to go live with the project. There is a separate video on how to do both of these processes within the YouTube playlist, so if you have not already undergone those two processes, they need to be done before proceeding. I have opened a test patient in EMIS Web. This is not a real person, and therefore there is no confidential medical information which you will see during this training video. If I press the F12 key on my keyboard, I will open the EMIS Web Protocol Launcher. As you'll see, I've already installed several of our practice protocols within here, but I also have plenty of empty space to install others. I'm going to choose slot M and right-click the mouse button and then click Add. I'm going to search for the term Quick and press Enter, and there I find the OCCG Care Plan Quick Launcher. If this is not present when you do your search, it probably means that your software hasn't been fully installed. If that is the case, please go back to a previous video within this playlist to understand how to install the software. Having left-clicked on this item, I'm going to click OK, and it's now installed in slot M. I'm going to press Close now to demonstrate that from any part of EMIS Web, as long as I have my patient selected, I can press F12, which will launch this protocol launcher. To activate it, I can either press M on my keyboard and then Enter, or I can double-click with my mouse. At the moment, this patient is not yet on the unplanned admissions register, and therefore it's going to give me a warning message to make sure that I know I need to do data entry to add them to the register if I'm going to create a full care plan. So this is the main menu from the OCCG Care Plan Quick Launcher. The first thing I'd like to draw your attention to is that there is a full user guide for the project which is linked already into EMIS. If you click it, it will open a document from your EMIS Web database which contains a training manual for the entire project. The document itself has a table of contents. If you hold down the Control key and click, it will rapidly go to that section of the project, and every single issue which I'm anticipating people will need to ask should be within here. We will cover everything that I think is important in the rest of this video as well. I think there's one really important question for you at this stage. How do you want to learn about this project? I've tried to design it so that people who are already familiar with using EMIS Web data entry templates and familiar with mail merging documents can just get stuck right in. Throughout the project, there is information alongside where you may enter the data to tell you what to do, and if you don't want to watch a video or read the user guide, just activate the Quick Launcher and get stuck in. Alternatively, if you're going to use this software regularly because you're running the unplanned admissions service, it may be best to watch this video to get a feel for how to get the most out of the software. The first thing I'm going to draw your attention to is code 13ZU, at risk of emergency hospital admission. Last year, when the OPC list was published, this was the code which was defined as the most appropriate code to be added to the record of patients who are considered to be at risk of emergency hospital admission. A combination of primary care and secondary care data was used to analyse your patient database and produce a list of patients for you. The intention was that this code would be added to their records to identify them as possible candidates for the unplanned admissions register. First, I'm going to show you adding this code to my test patient's record to show you how the software will behave. In order to add the code using the data entry template, I'm first going to press F12 and then double-click on my Quick Launcher. Here once more is my warning message telling me that the patient is not on the unplanned admissions register. So on this occasion, I'm going to use the data entry template to add the trigger code to identify that this patient is considered a risk of admission. Here it is, flagging as a possible unplanned admissions candidate, at risk of emergency hospital admission. I'm now going to save the template and save the consultation. A new pop-up window has appeared in the bottom right-hand corner, but this will now function for you in the same way as other EMIS Web protocol alerts do. If I hover over the icon, it will tell me what this alert is about, and if I double-click on it, it will open the data entry template so that I can carry on with the other tasks that I may wish to do for this patient. You will notice that the same data entry template is used throughout the project. Let's carry on adding some data to this patient's record. In the first instance, I'm going to click this code to add the patient to the unplanned admissions register. I'm also going to use the religion code browser to add the fact that I know that this is a Roman Catholic patient. I can either click in the drop-down box and select from here, or if I can't see what I'm looking for, if I click into the search icon, I get the full browser from where I can select the religions. If I can't find the relevant religion, one of the other options is to use this checkbox and add free text for the other. I'm going to save the template now and save the consultation once more to show you how the pop-up alerts change. In my right-hand corner, the software is now recognizing that this is an unplanned admissions patient, that they need an admission plan, but also they need to have a named GP. At this point, I'm going to use the mail merging documents within the Quick Launcher to create a draft care plan based on the information which is previously stored in the EMIS record. This is something that I regularly do when I'm attending home visits, but also it could be used as convenient stationery to take to multidisciplinary team meetings, or printed out when a patient attends for their review. It's not strictly necessary for me to do the data entry for this care plan, and because after the care plan has been created, it needs to be mail merged and sent on to the out-of-hours service, I may choose to write my care plan out by hand and have another member of my team do the data entry later. I'm going to press F12 on my keyboard and double-click again to load my Quick Launcher. This time I'm going to create a draft plan to take with me on a home visit. The software will ask me if I want to produce a decision matrix, but this is something I'm going to cover in a later video, so I'm going to press No. EMIS has now created a draft version of the care plan as a support tool for discussing and recording the conclusions. The format of the draft plan is that on the left-hand side you'll find the item of information, in the middle you'll find the information which has already been recorded, and on the right-hand side you'll find space on which you could write information by hand while you're doing a review. Each of the different sections of the care plan, whether it's a draft or a summary version, you'll notice that the naming of the sections on the document is the same as the name of the sections in the data entry template. Each of the items on the right-hand side should map directly across to something comparable on the data entry template. I'm not going to print out this template at this stage, but you will notice that some extremely valuable information is already formed on the plan, such as the fact that another of our patients, Quintin test patient, is logged as her husband, and we already have permission to contact him in an emergency and to discuss confidential details. I won't dwell on the precise content of the draft version, but I'm hoping that it will be self-explanatory, and crucially, if you've previously produced a digital care plan, the last version of the care plan which you created will appear in this central column, making it much quicker and easier to review a previous care plan in due course. At this stage, I would recommend clicking the print button, and you will then have a draft document to make it quicker and easier to gather information for data entry later. I'm now going to cover how to use the data entry template for the construction of a full plan. I've made use of the pre-existing functions within EMIS to try and make things more straightforward, but the specific read codes and the way of getting the text onto the documents is all done via the data entry template. I'm going to press F12 once more and load my Quick Launcher. And now I'm going to work my way systematically through the template, making changes based on what was written on my draft. So the first thing I'm going to draw your attention to is that normal demographic data should be changed in registration. When you have the data entry template open, you don't have to close it in order to go to the registration page. You could use your icons from the top or the EMIS bubble. There is a quick shortcut, which is to press the Alt key, then E, then R, then R. All of the demographic data such as home numbers, work numbers, for example, should be changed from this screen, but I'm also going to draw your attention to this section, Family Links. This module allows you to add relationships to a patient. So for example, this is Quintin, our test patient's husband, and we've already defined that he is her next of kin, he is also an emergency contact, and he's within the confidential loop. I'm now going to record, though, that Araminta is also looked after by a particular carer. From the ribbon, I can choose Add Relationship, but this carer is not a registered patient of ours, so we have to add a text entry. I could, of course, record a full postal address and contact details for this carer, but I'm not going to do so for the purposes of this demonstration. I've also had permission to discuss confidential information with the carer, and I'm going to add here that this is her main carer. So her imaginary carer, Clara Wintle, now appears within the Family Links section. In the future, if the details of the carer changes, I can find the relationship here and click Edit Relationship to have access to the record. To return to my data entry template, I'm going to use my sticky tab here, and it will take me back to the template. I'm going to scroll down further to show you some more elements of the care plan. We already know that this patient needs to have a named GP. This section, Anticipatory Planning for Hospitalisation, the clinician who forms the care plan will make a judgment with the patient and their carers about their suitability for admission. In this example, I'm going to choose the first option. Regarding resuscitation, if I use this drop-down menu, I can record multiple codes to say that resuscitation has been discussed. In this instance, I'm going to record that we discussed resuscitation with the patient, but also with her carer. She does, however, wish to be for resuscitation. I'm going to scroll down to the next section. Here the text will describe to you once more how to access the Family Links section of the registration page, but one of your alternative options, for example if there's an agency but no specific individual, is to use this code here and to add in free text. As a matter of good principle, although it's no longer a payment criteria for the OPC LIS, I would suggest that it is good practice to refer voluntary carers to the Carers Oxfordshire website because of the quality of the information there. Many of your patients will have specific professionals involved, and in this instance, I'm going to add that this patient is under the care of our district nurse service. And the contact details. Regarding care planning, I'm going to continue to add the information which I've gathered. The most important element of this lady's health for her care plan is that she has recurrent urinary tract infections. I'm going to use this item to indicate that there are some actions which are needed. And I'm going to proceed to add the specific code which is required for the enhanced service that I have made a plan. In the design of this care plan, I've chosen to use this payment code not only to indicate that a plan has been made, but also the associated text will appear on the care plan document itself. In this case, because of my previous experience with the patient, I've made a very specific decision about which antibiotic to prescribe, but also given a warning that she should not be prescribed nitrofurantoin. There is a code here to indicate that a GP out-of-hours handover form has been completed, and the out-of-hours service is aware of the digital proactive care plan and will accept a care plan as a valid statement, meaning that you do not also need to produce special notes. There is a specific section which is most pertinent to end-of-life planning, but may also be relevant to non-palliative care patients. In this case, I'm going to record that I have discussed the diagnosis, but also I've discussed the prognosis with my patient. I can see from over here that there is already previous data. If I click the double chevron, it will indicate to me when the last code was added, but also the relevant facts. So for example, I can see that in 2009, her husband was named as a lasting power of attorney for property and affairs. I can also see that she has made a living will in 2001. If I click the double chevron here again, I'll have more space to complete my data entry. The last thing I'm going to record in this section is where the reserved antibiotics are going to be kept. Moving on, I'm now going to record the fact that I have discussed where she would like to be looked after in the event of a clinical deterioration. And I'm going to indicate here that her preferred place of care would be home, but her second choice, in the event that she's too ill to be cared for at home, is to stay with her relatives. I'm going to use this code to record that she does have specific preferences which may be relevant if she does need to be admitted to hospital, and in this case, she eats a vegetarian diet. As I mentioned previously, I'm going to discuss the decision matrix in a later video. This text box here is to record information which may have been provided by a third party, and this is particularly important if patients lack capacity. The final item here is to record that I have discussed the confidentiality issues of sending this plan, and my patient has no concerns. At the bottom of the data entry template, you will find an area to record certain specific biological data such as blood pressure, pulse rate and oxygen levels, which are particularly important to out-of-hours services if they've never met this patient before. There is also a final bit of information at the bottom of the page to help you understand how to use the documents, and as a matter of routine, there is a specific read code which will be added each time you use the data entry template, so that you can demonstrate that you have used the digital template to produce the care plan. I'm now going to save my template, and the Quick Launcher has reminded me that in order to use the data on a merged summary plan, I first have to save the consultation if I launched the data entry template while I was consulting, and then once more load the Quick Launcher in order to complete the final mail merge. You will notice that my pop-up alerts have now changed, meaning that I can be confident that all the necessary payment criteria codes have been added. Congratulations, you're nearly there. If your surgery is already streaming data to the Oxfordshire Care Summary, your care plan is now available to the Oxfordshire Care Summary and is live. By the end of the summer, we hope that people will be able to log in and see the entire care plan in a structured view. Having completed the data entry cycle, the final step is to mail merge the entire care plan into a document which can be printed out for the patient's house. A copy also needs to be emailed to the out-of-hours GP service, and you may potentially want to send further copies on to carers, district nurses, or social workers, for example, who may be involved in your patient's care. From the medical record, I'm once more going to press F12 and load my Quick Launcher, but this time I'm going to generate a summary plan. I haven't generated a decision matrix for this particular example care plan, so I'm going to click No. EMIS is now asking which problems do I want to merge onto the summary template. In this instance, I'm going to merge all of them. By default, a summary plan will include all current acute medication and all repeat medication. But on this screen, if you want to, you can take individual items off the mail merge if you can see that they are not relevant to the enduring plan. At this stage, all of the information that we've entered using the data entry template and from the registration screen has now been populated onto a single mail merged document. You'll notice that, in contrast to the draft version, the summary version does not have space for writing on, in order to make the document smaller. Rather like the unified Do Not Actively Resuscitate document, the intention is that a paper copy of the proactive care plan will be stored in the patient's house, using the same message in a bottle system as a resuscitation order. Therefore, each summary document will have a tear-off slip at the bottom. I'm now going to save and close my document. And now from the Documents section of the medical record, I can open it in a viewer, and from here I can print as many copies as I wish, but also if I have the Microsoft Outlook email program installed, I can send directly from EMIS. It is important that, following a data entry cycle, a summary care plan which has been created must be saved to the EMIS record. If I navigate to the Care History tab, you will see that the care plan document itself has an assigned read code 8C M. This is also one of the payment codes for the OPC LIS, which will provide evidence that you have digitized your care plans and mail merged them into a final document. And so on to the very last section of this training video. Having done all the hard work for digital data entry for the first care plan, a review of a pre-existing care plan is much quicker. If you need to, you can generate a draft document which will put all of the information from the previous care plan into the middle section of the draft. By far the most efficient way to process a review of a care plan is to only change the review data. Returning to my medical record, I've now changed the date of these consultations so that they were more than 3 months ago. My pop-up alerts have changed, and it now indicates that I need to review the care plan. Double-clicking on it will open up the data entry template. If I scroll down to the planning section, you can see that I now have a slightly modified section where it advises me that this patient already has a plan. Now I can click this code to add the payment code for reviewing the care plan, and if necessary I can add extra detail here. Very often I've found in my experience with these care plans that there are no substantial changes. If you want to, you can add new health problems which may have arisen. You can add further action points which may be necessary, but in this case I'm simply going to leave these changes. I'm going to tick this box once more, and I'm going to mail merge the plan and send it off to out of hours. When I save the consultation, the alert clears, and I can now mail merge the document into a final summary printout and send on once more. Thank you so much for watching this video. I realise that it's long, but I thought it was important to go through each step fairly slowly so that it could be seen what I was doing. And when your team are familiarised with how to do this data entry cycle, I found that after the initial investment of time in generating a care plan, the work which is needed afterwards, such as sending on documents and printing neat copies, has massive time benefits. If you have feedback about this training video, or there are specific questions which you'd like to ask about the project, you may find the answers in the YouTube playlist, or by all means contact me directly, or my colleagues in the project board by emailing opcliz@oxfordshireccg.nhs.uk. Thank you for watching.